I just hired 2 sales reps onto my team that have locked up 10 contracts in the last 30 days. It's actually a little bit closer to 3 weeks, but we're going to do 30 days just to round up. And today, what I'm going to be discussing is what I do differently to hire, train, and manage my team to get the absolute most out of them. So if you're new to this channel, all we do here is we talk about how to get individual wholesaling companies to 100K a month, and then how to get individual reps there as well. And if you're already subscribed, welcome back. I have a absolute banger for you guys today. I'm going to be breaking down step by step my process from hiring people, onboarding people, and then getting the most out of them on a weekly, monthly, and quarterly basis. So let's jump in. The first thing that I want to talk about is hiring reps. When you hire reps, a lot of people want to put all their eggs into one basket. They want to do a huge interviewing process and just pick one rep. The problem with that is a lot of people interview really well, and you really don't know who's going to work out until you have them on your team. So my number one rule is that 2 is 1 and 1 is none. So when I hired these reps, I didn't just hire one of them. I actually didn't even hire 2. I hired 4 reps to start out. And I told every single rep that I interviewed with that I am going to be hiring 4 people. Likely only 1 or 2 are going to make it. Now, for people that are timid, that's just going to scare them away, which good. You don't want those people on your team anyway. But the people that are hungry, they go, yeah, when have I ever been in the bottom 50% of anything or the bottom 25%? If they're hiring 4 and they're going to keep 1, I am going to be the one that ends up making it. You end up attracting the right talent. Now, here's the thing. You are going to be training these sales reps. You're going to be onboarding. You're going to be doing daily trainings with them, getting them ramped up. You're going to be doing that with either 1 rep or 4 reps. It doesn't matter, right? It's the same amount of training. So I already have blocked off on my calendar sales training every single day, onboarding, same exact onboarding process, the same exact onboarding doc. That's already built out. So it doesn't actually take me any more time to hire 1 rep versus hiring 4 reps. What it does do, and I'll give you the exact scenario of what happened in the first couple of weeks from my sales team. Day 1, everybody shows up on the onboarding. We get them all set up with the system. They go through their onboarding doc. I tell them the most important thing, well, a couple of important things. Hey, number 1, you have to show up 1 minute early every single meeting. I'm not going to be waiting for you. I hate wasting time. That's my number 1 pet peeve. I told them a couple of other things that will help them be successful with our company. But with that one, day 2, 1 rep shows up late. What do? I let go of him on the spot. And since then, no one has showed up late. Wow, what a surprise, right? Now, if I would have just hired that 1 person, he would have showed up late. I would have been waiting around for him to show up. I would have been like, well, I've only got 1 rep. I went through this entire interviewing process. Let me just make it work. But I have 4. So it's really easy for me just to let go of 1, knowing that I've got 3 other guys that want to be there and that will show up on time. That was the first fire, was within the first 24 hours. Guy doesn't show up on time for the second meeting. Boom, he's gone. This is one of the lessons I've learned from my mentors, is that they hire slow and they fire fast. When I say hire slow, it doesn't mean that you should be taking months and months to hire. It means that you're trying to pick the right people, right? And you can do that relatively quickly. You can find the right person in a week or 2. It doesn't mean a lot of people are like, oh, hire slow. I should be taking 6 months to find the right person. No, hire 4 people, and especially in a sales team in that sort of environment, and then keep the ones that are the absolute best. First rep, RIP, gets rid of in the first day. We start getting rolling, and within the first 2 days, one of the reps locks up his first contract. I think the other guy locked it up in the first 4 days. So already we're getting contracts. Now, our rule of thumb is that before we give you any new opportunities, you need to work leads inside of the CRM. Not new, fresh opportunities. You need to work the leads that are already there. You need to prove yourself there first, then we'll give you new opportunities. Now, luckily for these guys, they got a contract in the first day, first couple of days. Like both of them got contracts in the first week. Now, I had another one. This is rep number 3. We already got rid of rep number 4. About 2 weeks in, he starts slipping on his KPIs. So every day we go over the KPIs, which I will discuss later in this video. And probably 2 weeks in on a Friday, I look at the dials. I'm always looking at dials talk time for the day. I pull up that report a couple of times a day, and it's like noon. This guy hasn't made any dials. So I talk to him. I'm like, dude, what's going on? You are the only one that hasn't locked up a contract so far, and you're the lowest on dials and the lowest on talk time. Do you see the correlation here? And those reps are going to have one of 2 decisions to make. Either 1, they level up and they start hitting KPI, or 2, they leave. Now this rep, RIP number 3, he left in about 2 weeks, which leaves me with the last 2 reps. And those are the people that I'm going to be focusing on. What I want to cover here, what I want you to take home from this, is that if I would have just hired those 2 people, if I wouldn't have hired the additional 2, I would have to start over from ground zero. I'd have to start my interviewing process, start hiring again, start training, start onboarding. And that would have cost me a lot of time. I mean, that would have been 30 days just down the drain, wasting time with people that didn't end up making it. But because I hired in bulk, I was able to keep 2 absolute A player, absolute rock stars, while the other guys, they ended up leaving or they got fired relatively quick. So 2 is 1, 1 is none. Okay, now let's talk about step 2. Now, this is a cheat code that only I have and some of my advanced inner circle students have is I hired people with sales training. Now, how did I do that? I have a school community with about 260 members in there roughly. And then I've got an advanced group too. And so the guys that I hired, every single person that I hired them outside of my school community, which I had already coached them. I had already taught them my sales process. So that's why they were able to find success so quickly. They were able to lock up contracts in their first week and lock up 10 contracts in the first 30 days because they already knew our sales process. And if you want to learn the exact sales process that these reps use to lock up 10 contracts in their first 30 days, I'm going to drop a link in the description below. We have a school community where we have a call every single week, tens of hours of sales training where they have portals, modules, and an entire community where you can bounce ideas off of. And if you want more help actually scaling your team because you already have been learning a process, but you are not getting the most, I'll also drop a link to our advanced group where we have a call every single day. We have owners only calls with me and my mentor doing $1 million a month wholesaling real estate. We have call reviews, objection handling, lead management training, dispo, everything you need to be able to scale your business. And what I'm going over today is just a tip of the iceberg of what I cover inside of my advanced group. So sales training, being able to hire somebody that has a sales background. I'm not talking about they were crushing it in sales before. They just had already learned the sales process that I teach. And so they were able to lock up contracts very, very quickly. And I wasn't getting the normal calls that I was having prior to when I hired people without experience. All they want to focus on are people that are hanging up on them and people that are saying, hey, just give me an offer. Like these reps, they weren't having those problems. They were just working on objection handling, like really the fine tuning that causes these reps to get to the top 1%. So number two, hiring people with sales training, existing sales backgrounds. That's really helpful. And if you're someone like me where you can hire someone that you've already trained, I mean, you're going to be even better. Now, I will tell you, out of the people that applied inside of my school community, I didn't hire all of them. I think I had like 16 applications. I only hired 4. So let me tell you about the things that I look for with the people outside of just being really savage salespeople. What do I look for outside of that? Now, number one, this is the first thing I look for. And when any of my advanced students, they send me any of their interviews from people that they're hiring, it's the number one thing I look for. Let's just do I want to see natural tonality. And what I mean by that is I do a role play with all of the reps and I want to see that they naturally use inflection in their voice. This is a big difference between people that do really well at sales and people that don't. If they can slow down when they ask a question, if they can use an empathetic tone when a seller starts opening up, if they can use a concern tone when the seller starts talking about a problem. These are all things that I look for. And it's something that, yes, you can train, but if the sales rep already has it, it's going to be a lot easier to train them. So I always say, like, you can train anybody, even if you're absolute garbage at sales like I was when I started, you can still get them better. But some people, it's easier to train them because they already naturally do things like use their tonality, use their inflection. They're very coachable, things like that. So I always look for natural tonality when I'm hiring and when I do my role play. Now, the second thing that I look for, and this is probably the most important thing, like will make or break you in the long run, is I want to look for coachability. I do not want an old dog that can't learn new tricks. And so a lot of people have seen this over and over where they go hire these like really top closers. They're in their late 50s, maybe late 40s. And yes, they're good naturally, but they're capped because they're not willing to learn anymore. And anytime you give them any sort of feedback, they always challenge it. And so one of the things that I look for in reps, aside from just being coachable, being open to new ideas, is I don't want a ton of pushback when I'm coaching them. And I'll give you an example of somebody that I had, a couple of years ago, one of my reps that I hired. She was actually really good. She had good tonality. The problem was every single time I gave her a piece of coaching feedback, she always looked for something that was wrong with the coaching feedback instead of looking at like, how can that help me? And so I might say, hey, ask this question. She's like, yeah, I could ask that question, but what if they say this? What if they say that? What if they say that? I'm like, okay, well, if they say this, then go back to this. Okay, but then what if they say that? And it almost sounds like an argument where the reps that I have now and the top sales reps that I train, when you give them pieces of coaching feedback, yes, they know that there can be other objections, but they also know those other objections, they need to focus on one thing at a time. So I'll give you an example is if I'm role playing with a really good rep and they want to get really good at overcoming a partner objection, they will role play the partner objection. If I'm the seller and they want to be the acquisitions manager, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give them that one partner objection and let them overcome that. I'm not going to throw a price objection, a think about objection, all these other objections, because that's not the thing that they are trying to work on. They're just trying to work on the partner objection. Now, yes, of course, in a real life sales call, a partner objection might turn into a price objection, which might turn into another objection. Yes, those things happen, but the top sales reps are not always looking for what's wrong with the process. They're looking for how can this help me and how can this help me accomplish the one thing that I'm trying to accomplish. And so that's really important when I'm looking at coachability. Another thing that I look for, and this is a huge difference that I see from any of the top sales reps that either come through my advanced coaching, my school group, or people that I hire on my team, is the top reps are always working on the deals that are likely to close. They're not just complaining about, oh, well, this seller didn't open up and this seller hung up on me. They're past that. And like I said earlier, what we focus on right now is we focus on the most likely to close deals and what sort of objection handlers, what do they need to learn to be able to get those deals locked up. Whereas a lot of the bottom reps, all they like to focus on is just the sellers that hang up on them and the sellers that were not opened up. And it's either that they're not getting to those calls because they're not very good. They're not getting to the objection handling. They're not getting the trust, or they just have huge egos. So if a seller is just like really direct, shuts down on them, that's the only thing that they want to focus on when it's not the most impactful. I'm going to go over what I do on my daily cadences to get the absolute most out of my sales team to make sure that they are locking up all of the deals that they could be locking up. And we're not focusing on, yes, there are asshole sellers that just want to hang up on you, say, hey, get to the offer. I'm going to go over what that looks like in a little bit. So when I'm looking at hiring somebody, that's one of the number one things I look at is how coachable are they? Are they going to be arguing every single time I give them feedback? Or are they going to be open? Are they going to be receptive? And are they going to try and put in the effort of the things that I'm coaching them on? Now, the third thing that I look for is tenacity. Now, what does that mean? If I have Jeremy Haynes calls this fat cat closers. If I have these guys that the only appointments that they'll take are really hot, super motivated inbound appointments booked on their calendar, I am not going to get the highest ROI out of them. They are going to miss opportunities. And when they get used to that, what ends up happening is when they hear a seller, it's like, oh, well, I'm just kind of looking. I just want to explore my options. They have no idea how to overcome objections like that to get to a real sales call because they're used to people that are just, hey, I need to sell quickly. I need to sell right now. And those are the only people that they know how to close. Which, if you're okay with closing 1 out of 30 or 1 out of 25 leads, then sure, go ahead. But if you want to close 1 out of 10, you're going to have to understand that some sellers are going to open up the call with, hey, I'm not sure I want to sell. I'm just kind of exploring my options. I really don't know what I'm going to do here. I'm thinking about listing with an agent. And I want tenacious reps that are going to look at that, not even hear the first 15 seconds of the call when the seller's giving them objections, and try to get into their sales process anyway, because that's how we're able to consistently close 1 out of 10 leads into an actual contract, is because some sellers push back on us in the beginning, but we know how to overcome those objections, get to the real pain point, and be able to lock up contracts. And so I need tenacious reps. Now, what this also means, I'll give you an example of rep number 3 that we ended up letting go of. This guy would, our metric is 120 dials, 120 minutes of talk time, 2 offers. This guy would make 121 dials on the spot, and then his talk time would be like 30 minutes. And so he's like, well, I hit my KPI, I hit my dial KPI. My other reps, if they're hitting 120 dials and they're only at 30 minutes of talk time, they're going to do another 100 dials until they get their talk time up to an hour and a half, 2 hours. And they're actually shooting for the thing that matters, which is the 2 offers. And these guys are hungry. All of the best reps that I've ever had, they are hungry. They want to lock up contracts. They aren't just going to put in a couple hours worth of work, hit their 120 dials, and then log off. They're going to work as much as they need to do until they make the money that they want to make. And if that's locking up 5 contracts a week for them, that's what they're going to do. They're going to keep working until they lock up 5 contracts a week. When you get these like really spoiled reps that have come from, software sales or maybe these other industries where they have like 3 or 4 booked appointments on their calendar, maybe 2 show, they lock up 1 and that's their day. You're going to have a really hard time with those people because they don't know what actual work looks like. And so one of the things we do right when we hire is we do 100 calls to close, and they have to hit 100 calls within their 5th day. And if they're not able to do that, boom, we let them go because they can't make 100 dials on day 5. They're not going to be able to consistently do that inside of your CRM. So when I'm looking for sales rep, I'm looking for natural tonality, them using some sort of inflection in their voice. I'm looking for coachability, and I'm looking for tenacity. Now let's talk about managing them. So those are just a couple of tips. Now I have a lot more detail inside of my advanced group of exactly what I'm looking for, my hiring process, everything like that. These are a couple of tips of how to actually hire good people, but that's only half the battle. The other half is managing them. All right. The second thing that we do is we go over gratitude. What are we grateful for? The reason I like to do this is this kind of just sets the tempo for the day. It gets everybody in a positive mindset, which is helpful for the rest of the day. Figure out one thing you're grateful for. There's always something. And I'll get on my team if they're saying the same thing every single day, or if they're really negative negative. So if they're saying, well, I'm grateful that finally my refrigerator is working because it was broken yesterday, and they're always complaining, that's going to tell me that something is off in their life. Gratitude should be, hey, I'm grateful to have clean drinking water. I'm grateful for this team. I'm grateful for this training. It can be anything, but it needs to be positive. It can't just be them complaining all the time, or that's a red flag that's a bad culture fit for our company. And then the next thing that I go over, and this is my tempo with every single sales training, is most likely to close. So I was talking to my sales team today, and I told them, hey, do you guys notice how we are never talking about those sellers that just hang up on us, or those ones that are like super resistant or just shut us down? We're always talking about the deals that are right there on the line that we could lock up. And they thought about it for a second. They're like, yeah, that is interesting. We really never talk about those. Now, one, they're really good salespeople, so they don't get a lot of that. But two, they know that bringing somebody from a FU all the way to a close is a lot more difficult than bringing somebody that gives them a, hey, I need to think about it, but everything sounds good, or I need to talk to my partner, but everything sounds good. So that's what we focus on. And this is what has helped us keep such a high tempo with our team. I know at all times what are their most likely to close deals, and I can continue to follow up with. So for today, both of my reps have deals that are right there on the edge of being locked up, but they just got two different types of partner objections. One was with like a city inspector, which was really strange, and the other one was with a husband, which is very normal. And so what we did today is we just role played partner objections. I role play it with them, they role play it back until I feel like they have it. And I say, okay, cool. You guys know what to do. You guys go lock up the contracts. And so that one thing is huge for being able to drive revenue in your company, because I guarantee you right now, if you have sales reps, there are deals inside of their pipeline that are one partner objection away from getting locked up, one think about it objection away, one small price objection, one logistics objection. They have those in their pipeline, but instead on their sales training, they're focusing on the hard ass sellers that are just telling them, hey, give me an offer, get off the phone, or somebody that's just being really cold to them. Those are the ones that they want to focus on, but they're not locking up the lay down deals that all they need to do is be able to fix a simple objection. So I'm going to show you when that happens. If we are behind on our contract goal, what do we do to be able to hit that? So first week, we're really consistent, getting a contract every day and a half. Now, second week, this was last week actually, so it might have been the third week. We were at Thursday and we only locked up one contract so far this week. And so I got together with my team, and on our morning huddle, I said, hey guys, we're only at one contract. We need to get at least another 3. Now, luckily we got 4. I said, we need to get at least another 3. So all of you guys, send me your top 3 most likely to close, and I am going to help you with them. Now, this is a huge hack when you're driving revenue. So I call this the goal line. And here's a couple of things that you can do. We'll do this is going to be role plays. So you're just going to role play the objection with them. Whatever objection that they're getting that's causing them to be on the line, hasn't got them to lock up the contract, we're just going to role play that. It might be something logistical. So last week we had a seller, and it was really funny that this happened. The seller just said, hey, I don't really like you guys' reviews. I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't make sense. Our worst review is a 4-star review. And we find out, we just literally hop on the call with him. We find out he was looking at the wrong company. And so he was looking at the Better Business Bureau for a different company. We send him our reviews. We're able to get that locked up just because that was our focus. Now, here's a super hack here that I use all the time with my team, and it's called whisper mode. And we just locked one up on Friday. Today is Tuesday, by using this whisper mode. Now, what whisper mode allows us to do, so we use smartphone. Now, Resimply has this. All of the main CRMs have this, is I can talk to my sales rep, and then he can use that coaching feedback on the call live. So last Friday, he had one that's on the line, and this lady was another partner objection. She's like, I need to go talk to my husband. Now, this was one of the funniest things that's ever happened to me. I'm on the phone, I'm listening in, and I'm coaching my rep as he's calling the seller. First thing I asked him, hey, did you get the agreement? He asked her, did you get the agreement? She's like, I haven't got it yet. So I'm on the phone, I'm making sure that it goes to the right email. We send it to her inbox. He goes, okay, did you get it now? She's like, yeah, I got it. Okay, go ahead and open that up. She opens it up. He goes, did you sign it already? She goes, no, not yet. I was like, hold on. Before we even try to overcome that partner objection, just try to get her to sign right there. And he goes, okay, just do me a favor, hit the initial button, and let me know if it asks you to draw your signature. She's like, yep, it does that right there. I'm doing it right now. And then she just signs. And so that was a contract that we wouldn't have gotten locked up. He was going to call that lead on Monday. We called it on Friday. We completely overcame a partner objection just by pushing a little bit harder, just by a little bit of coaching feedback. Those are 2 hacks that we use to get to the goal line. Right when we're right there, really close, we do some role plays to overcome objections, or I will use whisper mode. Now, if all of that doesn't work, the last thing that we do is called a TO call. That's a takeover call. So what I'll do is I will call the seller, and I'll start asking him questions like, hey, I just wanted to check in on Michael. know, how was he? Was he on time? How was XYZ? Did he show up? Was he polite? Was he respectful? And then eventually I'll get to the real objection. So help me understand, what was it that caused you guys not to work together? And then I can use my objection handling techniques to help overcome those objections. And we can get another 20, 30% contracts just from these TO calls. Those are 3 things right there on the goal line that you can do to drive revenue for your company. Now, the last thing that I want to do is I want to do these weekly pushes. So what we do, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, is every single week we look at how many leads did we get, how many were contacted, how many apps, appointments, offers, contracts, and then obviously close. Now, my job as a sales manager is to focus on this part right here: contacted lead to contract. My leads, this is my CMO, the guy that runs my marketing, and then the closed, this is my dispo manager. He's responsible for this. But my job is contacted leads to contract. So if I see we have enough leads, we have enough contacted leads, but we're low on contracts, I'm going to start looking through my metrics. I'm going to go, where are our gaps? Maybe we have, 50 appointments, but we only have 25 offers. Okay, we need to go make another 25 offers in the next couple of days on the appointments that were already booked. We're going to hammer them. We're going to change the phone numbers. We're going to do everything that we need to do to get them back on the phone. And this is one of the number one things that I don't know why most sales managers don't do, but it's one of the number one things that can drive your revenue is on a weekly basis. If it's Thursday and you have not hit your weekly goal, you need to look at how many leads do you have, how many contacted leads, appointments, offers, contracts, and close. If it's a lead problem, obviously talk to your marketing guy, whoever runs your marketing. If it's you, figure out what you need to do to get more leads. But if it's a conversion issue, where are the leads inside of your CRM that should be locked up that are not so far? And this is again, it's kind of like our goal line. Hey, we should be right here. We're not here yet. What do we need to do to push? And that's how we drive revenue. So these are a couple of things that I do to keep my team getting the absolute most out of them. A couple of ways that I hire people to make sure that they're a good fit for my company. And then how we're able to consistently get contracts week over week to avoid all of that inflection. So if you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe. We put out a new video every week or so, and we talk about topics just like this. I'll see you guys on the next one. You guys go crush it. Bye, everybody.